What's going on, everybody? Happy Thanksgiving. Welcome back to the channel. I'm GemMint. Now, most of you guys know that I've been a huge Arcade1UP fan since the beginning. I've been reviewing since their Generation 1 cabinets with Street Fighter, with Mortal Kombat, then onto Ninja Turtles, NBA Jam, Marvel vs. Capcom, and most recently X-Men and The Simpsons. They've given me so many cabinets that I absolutely love, and if they didn't make any more, I'd be happy. But I got to thinking, with Killer Instinct coming, with Terminator 2 coming, what other cabs do I want to see? So this is my Arcade1UP wish list. And yeah, community has spoken. They feel like the prices have gotten too high. The hobby's getting too expensive, which is why I'm having my live comic book auction tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's Black Friday with Nick Barucci from Dynamite Entertainment and Ramsey vs. Comics. And shout out to Dynamite Entertainment for sponsoring this video. You guys got to swing over to their YouTube channel, hit the notification bell. You'll get all the latest updates on The Boys, Red Sonja, Deja Thoris, Army of Darkness, and more. So big shout out to Dynamite, and come check us out tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, for our live comic book auction. With that being said, guys, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and let's jump into this. I have it broken down into categories. So first, I'm going to talk about beat-em-ups. Now, beat-em-ups, for me, have the least replay value. It's all about nostalgia, the sounds, the cabinet artwork. And these two here kind of fit in that realm. However, I think they have a little bit more replay value, and I'll explain why. First one is Smash TV. Now, a lot of these on the list are already rumored, have been hinted and teased by John D and the guys at Arcade1UP. So some of these could be in the works. Some of them we've seen teases for. I think Smash TV is coming, and this is like an over-the-head shooter where you're fighting waves and waves of enemies with all types of insane power-ups. It's super fun and has so much replay value. Not to mention it has awesome cab art, and this is one of those games in the arcade that I would just throw in a quarter and play, or a token depending on when it happened, after I was done with all the fighters that I like to play. So Smash TV I think would be super fun, and I've been hearing things about it recently. I think that is coming. The second and the last on the beat-em-ups is the Spider-Man arcade game. First of all, the cab art is awesome. The sprites are huge. You have Spider-Man, you have Black Cat, you have Hawkeye, and Namor, the Submariner, as well. Now, I know the game doesn't have that much replay value, and people say it doesn't really stand up. That's why I think that they can take this opportunity to add a couple of other games on this cab. They've added console games in the past, so I feel like if they did a Spider-Man cab with the Spider-Man arcade game and threw on Maximum Carnage and Separation Anxiety from Super Nintendo, that would be an amazing cab. I'm not sure if those licenses will blend or not, but great cab art for Spider-Man. Those characters look great. I think it would be awesome in this room, and Spider-Man, one of my favorite characters. I would love to have that game. It was never ported to a home console, so you only got to play that if you happened to catch one in the arcade. Never got a chance to play it at home, so I think Spider-Man the arcade game would be a dope beat-em-up, plus throwing in those bonuses would really round it out. Moving on to the sports games, the only sports game that I really want is NFL Blitz. They have two Blitz arcade games, Blitz and Blitz 2000. Heavily hinted and teased. I think they're in the works with this. Arcade1UP just recently announced a partnership with the Miami Dolphins, and there was this one live show that they did where they had brought somebody on who worked on NFL Blitz, and it seemed like they were going to tease the cab, but they weren't really allowed to or whatever. But this is a football game that I played countless times in the arcade, and this is a must for a home arcade. All right, guys, on to the racing games. There's a lot more racing games on this thing than I thought there was, and I'm not going to spend too much time on them. The first one is OffRoad. I don't know what it is about OffRoad. It was a cab with 3 steering wheels. I always threw some quarters in this one after I was done playing the fighting games. I guess I just liked kind of like the mechanics of it, on how the cars would spin in that mud with the hills. They would jump, there's power-ups, and you're going in this circular type of track. I don't know, I just always liked it. It was kind of like a video gamey car game. It wasn't realistic. It was kind of cool, man. It had the power-ups like I mentioned. It had like the oil spills and like the puddles and stuff, and you would just be spinning around on that steering wheel. I definitely dug OffRoad. They could do one with 1 steering wheel, make it online. I don't know, 3 steering wheels feels like a lot, but a great game nonetheless. The next two are kind of similar. You got to go Cruisin' USA, which also has Cruisin' Blast and Cruisin' Exotica, so a perfect opportunity for a 3-game cruising trilogy. They have 2 games right now, Outbreak and then Ridge Racer, which just came up for pre-order. So you can do a sit down or you can do a stand up, but Cruis'n USA, fond memories playing this in the arcade and also on Nintendo 64. Great graphics, super fun. And you can't have a cruising cab without Daytona USA and Daytona USA Part 2, even if it's just for that theme attract music. I feel like it's a similar vibe to Cruis'n USA, although Cruis'n you're more free roaming and Daytona you're more on a track, but two great racing games with iconic music and visuals. Lastly, it's not a car racing game, but I'm talking Hydro Thunder, man. This one was at a CC's Pizza where I lived back in Deerfield Beach. We used to play this one all the time. Super fun boat racing game. More arcadey, not as realistic as the car games, with cool tracks, with secrets and power-ups and speed-ups and ramps. Super fun game, and that's gonna round out my wish list for the racing games. All right, guys, let's move on to the shooters. Now, when they came out with Big Buck Hunter, I was excited. Not for that game, I didn't pick it up, but I was like, okay, they're figuring out and they're releasing gun games. Now they have Terminator 2. I did pre-order that, it's coming. It only has one game on it. We kind of wanted to see like Revolutionary X or Area 51 on it. Now, I think Area 51 they might be saving for their own game because there's 3 arcade games for Area 51. You have the first one, Site 4, and Maximum Force Duo. Area 51 is another one of those games. If you see it in the arcade, you had to throw some quarters in it. Fighting with the aliens, trying not to shoot your partners even though you always ended up doing it. Kind of that first campaign mode type of shooter that I really recall where you're following your people throughout the sites. Great cab art as well. Area 51 is a must-have for a shooter. There's a lot of great shooters, man. Time Crisis, there's 5 of those bad boys. If they could fit all 5 Time Crisis on a cab, that would be insane. I love the reload option here. This one also had like decision-based movement, like if you can go this way or that way. You have co-op there as well, 3D-ish. One of those ones that you saw at the movie theaters all the time, or Boomers. It was super fun. You gotta have Time Crisis, just like you gotta have Virtua Cop. Now, I'm trying to remember the difference between Virtua Cop and Time Crisis. I feel like they had similar mechanics, but a 3D shooter game that was super fun and addictive. Next up, you gotta have House of the Dead 1 and 2. Now we're getting into the horror-based kind of thriller shooter games. This one is a fan favorite game as well. Cab art is sick, the gameplay is awesome, 3D mechanics. How do you not have House of Dead in a home arcade? Then moving on to Jurassic Park. I mean, this is the game that I still see in the mall or in movie theaters. Like, it still holds up to this day. I think a Jurassic Park cab would be awesome. I mean, Arcade1UP has shown they're able to get these big licenses like Terminator. You can imagine a Jurassic Park dedicated cabinet with the guns, with that type of kind of action shooting game style. Definitely a good contender for a shooting game. Then the last one for the shooters, I'm talking Silent Scope. They have a sequel and an X, so 3 games can be in this cabinet. I like this game a lot, man. When you have the big sniper gun and you're looking through the hole and you're zooming in and you're sniping people in the buildings from afar. Super fun game. I always threw quarters in this one at Boomers back in the day, and I think with the 3 games, you can get a lot of bang for your buck on this one. All right, guys, now onto my favorite genre. I'm talking the fighters. Now, they already gave us Mortal Kombat and all the Street Fighters we can handle, but I've got a couple of tricks up my sleeve here. So first of all, I've got Primal Rage on here. John D recently tweeted that it's not going to happen. He doubts he could sell 500 of them. My man Zohar in the comics talking about it's one of the worst fighting games, along with Pit Fighter, which could be a double game on this cab. And you could throw on the unfinished Primal Rage 2. But I disagree. I feel like we already have the best fighting games. Right now, we're getting this stuff for the cab art, for the sounds, for the visuals, for the nostalgia, not necessarily the mechanics. I would buy a Primal Rage instantly. Throw Pit Fighter on there, the first digitized sprite actor fighting game. Man, they had Primal Rage toys back in the day. It was huge. I think you'll get a lot of people to pick it up for nostalgia alone. I'd be a customer for sure. Now on to my favorite, Mortal Kombat. Yeah, they already have a Mortal Kombat cab, but they've teased a new one with online play similar to Big Blue. We kind of saw in some teaser videos with the Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 skins. So here's my wish list for the Ultimate Mortal Kombat cabinet. You have 1, 2, and Ultimate 3 like the Generation 1, all online. Throw on Vanilla Mortal Kombat 3 like the Countercade has. And I don't know if they can do this or not, but they can do console games. Let's throw on Mortal Kombat Trilogy. I think that would just be a fun, nostalgic kind of trip. You could put it online or not, but I think that would be super fun to have. I just don't remember if I like the N64 version or the PlayStation version. I guess you would go N64 because there's no loading times. Also, I mean, I got the shirt on. If you could throw on the arcade port for Mortal Kombat 4, just for fan service. I know it's not the best game. Forget the online, but again, the sounds, the visuals, the nostalgia involved in that game, that's enough for me to want it on there. I know it's a lot to ask, but again, the ultimate Mortal Kombat cab. All right, guys, sticking with the fighters, I loved Virtua Fighter in the arcades. Virtua Fighter 1 and 2, although I think they have 5 total, and I think, first 4 were in the arcade? Number 5 might be in the arcade overseas as well. Throw all of them on there, even if it's the console PS3, because that's online right now, PS4. Virtua Fighter, I loved it. It's so cool to see the evolution from those blocky polygons in Virtua Fighter 1 to how they advanced. I like the mechanics, super fun. And if you're going to do Virtua Fighter, I think a Tekken cab is necessary. Now, I wasn't the biggest Tekken fan back in the day, but I would pick it up just to kind of play around with it. What do you got? Tekken 1 through 3 plus Tekken Tag. I don't know how far into the series they're willing to go, but dedicated Tekken cabinet artwork. It's a 4-button scheme. Maybe throw Primal Rage on there. I don't know if the licenses will mix, but definitely a Tekken cab is overdue. Then let's round it out with 2 different Street Fighter cabs. Street Fighter Third Strike has 3 versions. I think they can get away with making a cab that's just dedicated Street Fighter 3 with all those different versions. Street Fighter Third Strike cab art would be super fun. Hey, and if you want to throw us a bone, throw on Street Fighter, the movie, the game on there too, just for shits and giggles. And along with the Street Fighter 3, we need that Street Fighter Alpha cab. There's 3 games. It would be a great cabinet. Again, Street Fighter Alpha artwork, 1, 2, and 3 on there. If you guys can make them online, that would be amazing. And that would round out all the Street Fighters. You really wouldn't need any more Street Fighter cabs after this. And kind of just throwing this as an honorable mention, I think it's obvious, it goes without saying, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I know there's all types of license struggles with that, but a dedicated MVC2 cab, I don't know what other games that they would throw on there. Maybe you guys can throw some suggestions in the comments down below. But that's my Arcade1UP wish list. If they came out with all of these, I have no idea what I would do for space. Maybe we'd rearrange this whole room. It would just be a home arcade. But let me know which cabs you would like to see Arcade1UP do in the comments down below. Which ones of mine do you agree with or disagree with for whatever reason? Let me know. And I appreciate you guys watching. Don't go anywhere. I got a ton of other content, including Arcade1UP reviews. I do comic book reviews and statue unboxings. Stay minty fresh. Peace.